Satoshi Nakamoto has been revealed. Well, not really, but what did the markets do? Did Bitcoin tank? We're going to talk about that. Where is Bitcoin? Where's it going to go? And Matt Hogan's 3 key reasons or things that need to happen for Bitcoin to get up to that $80,000 to $100,000 level by the end of the year. We're going to have that discussion. A large U.S. asset manager is deploying millions of dollars into the crypto markets. Who is it and what area are they looking to expand into? We have some news on Aptos. We're going to talk a little bit, of course, about the markets and what has Jupiter done to continue its dominance of being the best DEX in the entire crypto space. We have that and much, much more on today's episode of Sin City Crypto. Let's go.
Boy, Big Rob, back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. If it's your first time checking us out, we're the entertainment-focused cryptocurrency channel where, unlike other boring-ass channels, we take that information, package that thing up in a fun, sexy, comical, sometimes humor, but real financial advice, not here, but real comical advice. Hi.
Wow.
Man, oh man, oh man. Satoshi has been revealed,
hold on,
bro.
hold on.
What's up? ¿Qué pasa?
What is comical advice?
Comical advice?
Yeah, is there like a...
Let's be real here, okay? There's a few fundamentals. Crypto good, Bitcoin good. Let's talk about it. What's the news? It's very simple. It's boring, man. I mean, at the end of the day, anybody can do it, right? We can pull up some prices. We can talk about it. Anybody with a webcam, you start a YouTube channel. Decide to make some content. However, it's going to be boring as hell. Because at the end of the day, just talk about numbers. So we try to liven
comic
this thing.
advice.
Yeah, we try to give you
Comic advice.
comic advice. Yeah,
You either show the crypto bubbles or the crypto balls.
yeah. It's just let's be real. Financial shows just fall flat when it comes to being entertaining. But we're in Las Vegas, right? We're a home of entertainment. You know,
Strippers.
the strippers. We got casinos. We got
One less now.
David's favorite male stripper shows as well. You know, Thunder from Down Under. I
My
know you're a
favorite.
big fan of that. Yeah, and so,
Okay.
but you know, we do what Vegas does best here in a YouTube format. And yeah, you know, thanks for watching, guys.
I'm excited to get some comic advice today, man.
Listen,
Yeah?
you see last night they just blew the Tropicana, the casino went down.
Oh, yeah.
Did it come down?
Yeah, there is a lot of video there.
No more?
Ah.
Beautiful fireworks. Beautiful.
Nothing in Vegas lasts, you know, except Sin City Crypto. It's like something's up for 10, 20 years. It's too old. Tear it down. Put something new in. But
we do that with the studio all the time. You know, we tear this thing down and rebuild it. And
let's not go down
I
that
got
road.
some new plans for the studio. by the way.
Yeah. I saw how much
Watch
you
out.
spent on the business account.
Yeah,
Super
yeah.
excited. Guys, we are asking you watching. We have some wallet addresses in the description of the video. Also, you want to support the channel and support Robin's buying.
Right, yeah.
That's the word I'm looking for.
But the comical advice doesn't come without a comical
cost.
price. You know?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. That's actually a good one. Yeah, comical price. Anyways, speaking of tearing things down, people have been trying to tear down Bitcoin, whether it's trying to figure out who Satoshi is, calling it a scam, Garrett Genzer, you name it. Well, yesterday, the HBO documentary went live.
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to watch it.
I
know
did.
you and Rocco
I did.
briefly saw some of it, or I don't know, maybe you watched the whole thing, but I think what was kind of your overall, like, just general take on it? And of course, they named, by the way, they named Peter Todd, an early Bitcoin developer, as Satoshi, which he has denied. And go ahead.
So you know what? It actually make a pretty good case for it. If you look at Peter Todd, Bitcoin developer, and
Robin?
from the very first kind of like facts here to disprove it, he didn't join the Bitcoin development community until 2014. We know white paper created in 2008, and then subsequently Bitcoin went live in 2009. So you figure, hey, like, he wasn't even there for the first 5 years, right? How's that dude, the man? But you know, the Satoshi first contacted Adam Beck, right? The first email, first person he reached out to, and discussed hey, I made this Bitcoin white paper. And a lot of what this documentary frames is, well, one, Peter Todd had already communicated with Adam Beck in 2004. And so 4 years before he had reached out, before Satoshi reached out to him, this guy, Peter Todd, already in communication with Adam Beck. And then all of a sudden, Adam just says, yeah, this guy just reached out to me out of nowhere. And so was it somebody that he already had on the email list? And then in the documentary, he does come out and say, Peter, obviously you can kind of look at it and say, hey, that was a joke. But Peter comes out and says, hey, I am Satoshi. And so
let me ask you this question.
And then the last thing, one quote from there that I found very peculiar was Peter Todd said, if I was Satoshi, or he was saying, if Satoshi wanted to remain anonymous, he would destroy the evidence that would prove that Satoshi is who he is. Basically, he's kind of alluding to, if I was Satoshi, well, I would destroy my seed phrase, for example. And
let me ask you this question, bro.
Yeah.
Is there a human being that is alive today that has access to 44, how much money is that? $60 billion?
So that's kind of the whole thing. But if Peter Todd is Satoshi, he's kind of alluded to not being able to prove that he's Satoshi. You get what I'm saying here?
I get what you're saying.
And so
I get you can sign the first part, but
if you're
But my question,
have you ever done this? You ever broke up with somebody and you delete their number?
I got broken up with.
Have they deleted your number? It's
probably not, because your boy.
Shut up. It's common to delete someone's number that you don't want to talk to anymore, right? Why do you do that?
Not because you never know. You might need a little midnight snack.
Stop it. Okay. Give me my analogy. But
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I've done it plenty of times. I'm like, yo, this girl crazy. I'm just going to delete her number so I'm not tempted to talk to her. And so if you're Satoshi and you don't want to be tempted to reveal yourself, you don't want to break the anonymity that you've already created, why not destroy the evidence that would prove that's who you are? And so I think that makes a lot of sense.
So what are you trying to say, man?
I don't know. I would say I'm about 50-50. I'll just say the documentary is very convincing. I would say 50-50. I mean, it makes sense. It's very interesting how...
What human being alive on planet Earth could stare at $66 billion?
Did you not hear what I just
know,
said?
but I'm saying,
Okay, let's just say, let's just say in 2012, he destroyed his seed phrase.
So you think he destroyed the keys?
I think so.
Okay.
And if he destroyed the keys, he doesn't have...
Obviously, you don't have access to it.
Yeah, then you can stare at the number all you want. But, I mean, you can say that the Satoshi, regardless of who it is, was a pretty selfless person, right? You can say that, hey, they didn't want to take credit for it, so they remained anonymous. There was multiple times they could have cashed out, taken money, made money, chose not to. And so to think that someone would destroy their own seed phrase, that's kind of who he was in the first place, right? Even if it was Hal Finney, for example, which has been kind of the leading contestant to be Satoshi, prior to this documentary, I think that everyone was kind of in agreement there. I mean, the man was going through a medical situation where I'm sure he probably accrued massive medical bills. He has families leaving him behind. I mean, what would you do if you knew you were going to die and you're sitting on a ton of money? You would probably leave it for your loved ones, right? And so regardless of who Satoshi is, pretty selfless, right? And I wouldn't be surprised if Satoshi just was like, you know what? I'm not, for the better interest of the network and the community, I'm not going to touch this money.
I got a hot take. I think Satoshi is Kim Jong-un from North Korea.
Okay, why? That's it. Like, what is wrong with you?
What is wrong with me?
At least if you're gonna have a hot take, like explain.
It was comic advice.
Comic
advice.
Well,
now, how crypto reacted to HBO's big Satoshi reveal? Oh my God, everyone panicked. Not really. Well, this is from CoinDesk. As soon as leaks emerged Tuesday afternoon that the document would paint Peter Todd as the guy, everyone on X and Twitter with knowledge of the mystery, was skeptical. And on seeing the documentary itself, they were even more skeptical. Looks like everyone outside of Robin. And here's just some screenshots of people and what their thoughts. Nick Carter said, if you haven't spent a decade enmeshed in completely insane Bitcoin lore full time and you wade into the Satoshi debate, you're going to end up hopelessly confused. Sorry to gatekeep, but it is true. It's like, look, man, dude created something badass. He gone. He doesn't have access to his wallet, or he refuses to have access to his wallet. Let it be, man. Just let it be. Stop trying to find it. Some things are better left unknown, Like, why did that girl that Robin deleted out of his phone, why did she really leave him? Why was she crazy? It's better we don't know. It's better we don't know. Like, it's better we don't know Satoshi. And then we take a...
Dave, if you had a chance to know Satoshi or Robin ex-girlfriend, which one you want to meet first?
For comic advice, I'd go Robin's ex-girlfriend for sure, yeah. I don't want to know who Satoshi is. I really don't care. I'd prefer not to know. Because if it's someone walking around and alive, there's always going to be that fear. Well, what if they have access to the keys? And what if at some point they sell? What if the government arrests them? What if they?
But here's the thing: even in the worst case scenario where you're painting, if Satoshi wallet wakes up, then it is what it is. It's 1 million Bitcoin.
That's
it's
a lot of Bitcoin.
I understand, but it's not going to break the network.
But don't you agree?
If he starts selling, of course, it's going to draw.
No, but I'm saying, but don't you agree that some of the premise of the allure of Bitcoin is that this is an anonymous trader?
Let me ask you something. Okay, we yesterday we started the show. We started talking about the U.S. potentially selling Bitcoin, right?
Yes.
Is that going to break the network?
You're talking about a fifth.
I'm saying, will Bitcoin be broken? Do we cancel the show and start covering cars and sports?
Maybe.
No. And so, does it put sell pressure to the downside? Yes. Satoshi's wallet is 4 of the U.S. wallets, right? The U.S. holds about 250,000 Bitcoin. Satoshi holds 1 million. And so, if you think about it, if the U.S. wallet isn't going to break the network, sure, sell pressure, not good. Do we go down to 20,000? Okay. How long does it take for us to bounce back up? I don't know. Maybe a year, maybe 2 years. Maybe the U.S. screws us. Same could be said for Satoshi's wallet. And at the end of the day, it's not like, even if Satoshi's wallet did wake up, there's no way they're going to sell it on the order book. So it's going to go OTC. So they're going to buy it at a discount.
What do you think will wake up first, Joe Biden or Satoshi's wallet? Depending on
that was funny.
Depending on if it's at the beach in Delaware or if it's in the Oval Office.
That was actually a good joke. You're usually very stale in your humor, but that was a good one.
Yeah, the comic advice. I'm all about the
you even got Rocco to laugh.
Finally, good job.
You got Rocco to laugh.
All about the comic advice today.
Hard.
We're talking about tearing things down and building them up. Someone said, you tore down the club, we never built it back up because it doesn't cost $10,000. That's why. All right. We only tear things down.
I have some new lights coming in for the club scene. We're gonna strobe lights, disco balls. We're gonna do a club. We gotta do it right.
Yeah, for sure. I do want to talk about this. So, Bitcoin's recent drawdowns are shallow and consistent with past bull cycles. This is from one of the leading research platforms, Glassnode. Couple quotes here. Bull market drawdowns remain relatively shallow, but in line with historical bull market uptrends. And this highlights both the similarities and the relative resiliency of the current cycle. This is what the Glassnode report said. They also said the maximum drawdown is somewhat shallower than typically seen in prior bull markets. So we're not getting those 30, 40% drawdowns that we've seen in previous bull markets. I think we had 7 to 9 30% plus drawdowns in the last bull market. I don't think we've seen one 30% drawdown. I could be wrong. Someone fact check me on that. But also, recent market movements show that investor behavior remains robust, with significant demand cushioning the impact of corrections. Obviously, I think part of that as well is the spot ETFs. Now you have you're giving the largest asset managers access to Bitcoin, which wasn't here last cycle. And so obviously you cast a larger fish net, you have more buyers, you're going to catch more fish, right?
Yeah, I mean, you also take into account that you have Wall Street, and if they see a buying opportunity,
that's what I'm saying.
Why not? Yeah, exactly. And I know you mentioned the asset managers, but I mean, just think about just your average trader that has some tech-driven stocks. Hey, there's the individual X. He's got NASDAQ, he's got Tesla, and maybe he's just looking at Bitcoin like, you know what, this is a good buying opportunity. It was at 73,000 this year. And you know what? It's currently sitting right at 60,000. It's a good time to get to enter in on a trade. Maybe it's a swing trade that, is on a 3-month time horizon. Or perhaps a leverage trade, or an options trade, which we know is around the corner. And so, no, I think that the drawdowns have been suppressed exactly by the fact that we have the ETFs. If we didn't have the ETFs, perhaps there wouldn't be that support, wouldn't be that big money coming in to bring up the price because someone's buying. And so I think there's going to be more of this. At the same time, you're also going to see limited upside. And maybe, is it a coincidence that after the ETFs went live, we have been in this historically long consolidation channel or this price, trading sideways? And I think that's because Wall Street sees value and will come in and buy. But at the same time, Wall Street will also take profits, and they'll be like, "Hey, man, I bought at 60,000, and look at it now. It's at 69. That's 12-13% run up on the price, or 15% price increase from where I purchased. I think that's exactly what we're seeing. Exactly.
Well, if you remember, Rob, you were here when we talked to Mark.
Yeah.
And he just step by step explained everything that's happening. And those of you that are going to get an almanac, and we hope you will, you'll get that entire video plus the transcript. And what he goes over and explains makes so much sense. It was so good. So I want to share this from Bitwise CIO Matt Hogan, who's been on a show before. 3 things are needed for Bitcoin's melt up to 80K in Q4. In a client memo, Matt Hogan said that the 1, U.S. election, 2, the economy, and 3, no negative crypto surprises, it's going to be a hard one here, are what may see a melt up of Bitcoin to trade above 80K during the last quarter of 2024, which we are currently in. He goes on to say, quote, one thing, he also talks about altcoins, right? Altcoins could help. This is an interesting take. Says, Bitcoin doesn't need Ethereum, Solana, or novel altcoins for its long-term success. But if we're going to get a full-on melt-up in the short term, say a rip to 100,000 in a few months, it would help to have a bit of pro-crypto sentiment sweep the market. We know historically Bitcoin has led the altcoins. Bitcoin has led the entire crypto market. Seems kind of like what he's saying here is that maybe a rise in altcoins could help push the price of Bitcoin up. What are your thoughts on that? And what are your thoughts on his 3 reasons or his 3 key factors as far as what we need to see a big melt up in Bitcoin?
I mean,
you think the election matters?
It does. I think
if Kamala Harris gets in office, do we get to 100K by the end of the year?
No.
No. Okay, so it does matter. What about the economy? More rate cuts. We see what's happening in China. Stock market's going down after initial. Obviously, I think that matters, right?
It matters, but I think that interest rates and monetary policy globally tends to have a lag effect. So even if we're talking about by the end of the year, I don't know if those are going to be a catalyst that we'll see a reflection on price within the next 60 days. I mean, we're in October, man. So this time's running out. 80,000. It just depends. Depends on what happens, right? I think we get up to 80,000. I just don't know if we stay there. I think that if you ask me if I had to pick what's going to happen, I think that Bitcoin gets up to 90,000, pulls back down under 80 by the end of the year, and then we take off
in 2025.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna be very similar to what we saw in February, right? Or actually March, end of February, early March, where we went from 40,000 up to 70. I think that we get a similar move from 60,000 up to 90, and then we pull back. And
I think I'm kind of in the same camp.
Yeah,
but I think if Trump wins, I think instead of 80, it'll be 100.
But I think, yeah, I agree. If Trump wins, then I think we do go up to 100. I think he'll have some very outspoken criticisms of the current SEC chair, Gary Gensler.
Well-
he was at the Bitcoin conference in Nashville.
Did you also see the news or the rumors that Trump is eyeing a Robinhood exec who's worked with them on digital assets to be the next SEC chair if he wins? So I think definitely more bullish. But at the end of the day, Bitcoin will do what Bitcoin does. Crypto will do what crypto does, especially as we get into more mainstream adoption. Now, if a less pro-crypto candidate gets in there, it'll just take a little longer as global adoption will exceed the adoption here in the U.S. But, I mean, I think more and more people in power, people who have the power of the gavel, so to say, right? The people who write the bills, think they're starting to see like this is an opportunity. And we've been the beacon of the financial world for so long, really since the you can say post-World War II. Are we really going to let this next massive wave, this next like uprooting of the entire financial system, are we going to let another country do it? Do it first? Do it better? I don't know, man. I think more and more people come around to the fact, but definitely if we get that more pro-crypto candidate up there, I think it'd definitely be better.
I'm just a little curious because I think we're both in agreement that both candidates, regardless what happens, we're going to see price accumulate, whether it's Kamala or Trump, right?
Yeah.
You think that by the end of the year, we're not at 60, 70,000, right? We're at least at 80.
Yeah. If I had to put my money, yeah.
What does that mean for the alts? And so, I kind of periodically was going to come back to the Ethereum chart, but I mean, this is the ETH compared to Bitcoin on the 1 year, and the divergence is growing. And so you see here since basically August, it's just really, really come apart for Ethereum's dominance compared to Bitcoin. And I think this, in a broader sense, talks about what's happening with altcoins, right? Because we look back,
or do you think the ETF has maybe a little more?
Well, I mean, think about it this way. We look at chart after chart. There's a few exceptions, but most of the charts, February, March, we hit very high numbers for altcoins, right?
Yeah.
Cardano was at 70 cents. Solana was over $200. You had, just list an altcoin, they performed very well. I mean, and you look at Ethereum, and it traded side by side with Bitcoin at that point. And ever since then, Bitcoin's just really outperformed majority of the altcoin market. Is this thing going to reverse? Will we see Ethereum really accumulating price? I know I was pretty damn bullish on Ethereum, in the about midway through this year. I was like,
I'm still bullish on Ethereum, bro.
I am too. I'm just curious on what Ethereum versus Bitcoin, because right now it's
That gap's got to close, right? I mean,
does it?
yes. Yeah, it has to.
Okay.
You don't think the gap's going to close?
I think the gap will narrow. I just don't know if it'll flip it.
Okay.
That's my thing.
That's totally fine. In that case,
and
then
if
you're
that's
better
the
off
case-
having money in ETH than Bitcoin.
No, in Bitcoin and ETH.
No. If you think the gap's going to close,
But what I think is that if the gap closes, it's only temporary, right? It's only during the small window of the bull market. So then you gotta talk about timing. And so for me, I want to see Ethereum outperform Bitcoin. For me to invest in Ethereum versus Bitcoin, I need Ethereum to massively outperform Bitcoin. And it's not some kind of pipe dream. You look back at 2021, 2022, you look at the beginning of 2021, I mean, you had a sub like $300 Ethereum, right? And then from there, we know where the price went. That is massively, massively outperforming Bitcoin. Will the returns be similar this time? I don't think it'll be that dramatic, but and the reason I still hold Ethereum is that I do think that Ethereum will outperform Bitcoin massively, not just simply narrowing. But I'm kind of on the fence, man. I mean, I think will it narrow? Will it completely outperform? I'm on the fence. So part of me thinks that both scenarios are likely, but how likely? I'm almost 50-50, man. I mean, I hold a little bit more faith in what the community is kind of rallying behind. So I hold a lot of faith in Solana. Maybe Sui's the next one. Maybe Cardano is going to be the one that really outperforms all the layer ones. I mean, I think that uncertainty is why we do this show, and that uncertainty is kind of what draws into question like which one do I go to, and perhaps probably why you should have exposure in multiple different assets and not just simply going all in on one. I mean, diverse portfolios kind of, but don't diversify to the point to where you just mitigate all your winnings from one, right? Or your profits from one. I don't know. We're at an interesting point in the market. I think right now it's you really need to pay attention to what's going on because you might miss the boat being in the wrong project. And I think that Bitcoin versus Ethereum is a great example because if you had been in Ethereum instead of Bitcoin for pretty much any time this year, you would be outperformed by Bitcoin.
Yeah, you mean if you were in Ethereum or Bitcoin?
Yeah.
I want to take a look at the market.
Okay.
The rest.
All right. So,
Also, wait. Shout out to Dark Energy, 10 New Zealand dollars. Said Ola from New Zealand. Ola.
thank you, bro. That was a very underwhelming Ola. There you go. There it is. So
There it is.
so Bitcoin sitting at 61.3, and so
Are you buying? Are you buying here? Or are you waiting? Is there more downside, or are you buyer here at 61?
man, I don't know, man. I think we're still. I told you yesterday. We were talking to Magic. I said I think we're destined. If there's going to be a takeoff, which you agree, you're still on this. October is going to be a very green month, right?
Yeah.
So, which would put you, I'm assuming, over 70,000, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if we're going to have over $70,000 Bitcoin, and you can have your own ideas on how high that'll go, but let's just say we're over $70,000 this month by the end of the month. I think we get one more pullback before the takeoff. And so
you're waiting for that pullback?
I'm not saying I'm waiting.
Okay.
Actually, I do have some money on the side. And
I guess my question
I
is,
literally have US dollars in a Coinbase right now. And I'm just thinking, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to do it just yet. I think I'm going to hold out. I think it's going to drop down. I do.
So you are waiting. Okay.
Yeah. It hasn't changed my investment strategy when it comes to the HODL positions and to my DCA, but I do got a large chunk of cash sitting in USD.
So you're trying to time the bottom.
Not a bottom, but I just think that we're likely to get one more pullback before we take off.
If you don't want to be like Rob and you maybe are afraid of not finding that bottom or not getting in at the current price, you can always, if you have some money on the sideline, you can always split it up into 4 buys. Buy some now, pulls back another 5%, buy some more then, pulls back another 5%, buy some more then. And so that's the point of DCA is, you don't try to time the tops or the bottoms. Before we get into altcoins, I do want to share one altcoin. Now, if you've been watching our show regularly, I'm hoping you've made some money. We talked about this chart on last Monday, and this is Aptos. It's at $7.68 when we talked about it. It's currently sitting at $9. We have some Aptos news we're going to share with you a little later, but we identified a trend of prior to about a week to 10 days prior to their token unlocks, the price rallies, and we almost nailed the exact bottom. This was on Monday, this red candle here, which was down at around $7.60. This has since rallied from this target here to the topper wick of 25%. And so a round of applause to you if you took this trade. Maybe you're still in the trade. But I do think this thing has a little more upside to go. I do see us taking out this high of around $9.70. And then the next big one here is going to be just above $10, which I do think Aptos can get to. And, while we're on Aptos, I'll just go ahead and share this. Aptos' co-founder says the Layer 1 project is approaching a tipping point of mainstream adoption. Now, Aptos and Sui, obviously not identical, but I kind of put them in the same category, I guess. Aptos was created by former Facebook employees that were working on that Libra or DM project. So Aptos' new cold storage wallet card designed to hold a user's digital asset portfolio could make crypto payments more mainstream. Now, Mo Sheikh was on Scott Melker's podcast, The Wolf of All Streets. A few things he said here. He said, quote, I think in 1 or 2 years, We would love to see card and mobile wallet penetration increase to greater than 20% of all cardholders or mobile phone devices. That would be something we would be incredibly proud of, and we're very close to that. Very close to that. Then it goes on to say, no different than Facebook grew like wildfire to competitors like TikTok grew like wildfire. We're right there at the tipping point, and these types of products help make that actually happen, but they can only actually exist on Aptos. Not sure if I believe that, but because a transaction with this card, again, sub-second finality and 1,000th of a cent for our transaction settlement. I mean, how will payment networks compete? I'm not sure. So he's pitching Aptos as the go-to payment layer, essentially, for crypto. Now, we know we have a lot of the other ones, Solana, XRP, talk about remittances. Sui is kind of getting up there as far as sentiment, but you have any thoughts on Aptos here? And
I've been kind of asleep at the wheel on Aptos, and it's done very well. Still outside the top 20, and so what kind of performance could it get? Could it sneak into the top 10? Perhaps. I don't know. I have to do a little bit
let's
more.
take a peek here. Let's take a peek. So you have a circulating supply of around 503 million, no cap max supply, which is not the best, but you have a little less than 50% of the total supply currently circulating. We know they have their unlocks, and you can see here on CoinMarketCap, their unlock schedule, and we talked about this in depth. So it happens on the 11th of every month, and you can see here the community one accelerates, and the one that's going to start accelerating here, not really till 2026, is the core contributors and investors, right? Those are the ones that we can say, hey, these are likely sell pressure unlocks. And so, but again, we found a trend that leading up to these token unlocks, the price starts to rally. And so you can use that to your advantage. You can create a strategy to where if you're trying to accumulate Aptos, you can trade the move up, sell, and then buy on the way down, because we know typically after that it does trend downwards. And so Aptos is one I have some exposure to. I don't have a lot of exposure to, but Aptos is one I decided to add to my bag. More of a higher risk play. I'm curious, the people in the chat, are you guys bullish on Aptos, or do you have any Aptos? I'm curious. Put a 1 in the chat. And if you are, tell us why you're bullish on Aptos. And then some of the other things on as far as the top movers in the market here. So in the top 10, you have ETH at $2,400. We have BNB at $574. Really, everything is down in the top 10 outside of Doge and Tron, which are up on the 24-hour. Doge is at 10 cents. Tron holding steady in the top 10, 16 cents, up 1.6%. Some of the biggest losers of the day include the FTT token, sitting at $2.20. BitTensor having a drawback. Kaspa down 7%. We have a video on Kaspa coming out. If you're on the sidelines, or if you're unsure about this price action, you're going to want to watch that video. Highly, highly recommended. That drops in about an hour and 20 minutes. Now, some of the biggest gainers, you have a meme coin, which is Nero. Don't know much about it, so I'm not going to talk about it. Chiliz is up 12%. Helium up 2.4%, but pretty flat for the markets here. Everything is either down or flat. And so fear and greed is at 42, and volume has dropped. It's currently dropped 15%, sitting at $63.7 billion. And so yeah, do you have any plays here going into the next big rally up? Is it memes? We know those kind of start to run. Is it AI?
I have my eye on couple memes, but really just looking at a buying opportunity for Cardano here, back under 34 cents again. And I know I feel like we've had a lot of good buying opportunities. I think if you look here on the 1 month chart, you see that we've been under 34 cents several times, briefly getting up to 40 cents recently. And as I mentioned earlier in the show, you go back, you did see that we were at 77 cents at one point in March. And will we get back there again? I think once Bitcoin takes off, I think 60 cents 70 cents is right around the corner. And I think that move happens pretty abruptly. I mean, you look here, we went from under 40 cents in November, and it only took less than a couple weeks, like 2 to 3 weeks, for it to go from 30 to 60 cents. And then
yeah, let me say something, man. I'm sorry, but unless you think Cardano's going to zero, you'd be stupid not to pick some up at 33 cents. I really do. Unless you think it's going to absolute zero. Who's that guy? The crazy guy? We try to get on the show. The guy that cusses a lot, Dan.
no idea.
Okay. Yeah, there was that Bitcoin is going to effing zero. If you think Cardano is going to effing zero, Dan Pena, sure, don't buy it. But if you don't think it is, and you believe in what they're doing, 33-cent Cardano, I mean, I don't know how you can overlook that.
Let me tell you, in 2021, I made an absolute killing on Cardano, and most of it got picked up around between, I think it was 21 cents and 80 cents. And there was a lot of times where I started buying at, I think the first buy was sub 20 cents, but it wasn't a ton of money. And so most of my allocation came around 30 cents. So think about that. Think about, you bought something at, say, 15 cents. And then the price has doubled. It's at 30 cents, right? You're like, man, I was buying this thing when it was at 15 cents. Now it's at 30, right? And I had conviction for where the price was going, right? Where the market trend was going. And so I bought for 30, 40, 50, 60 cents, 70 cents, 80 cents. It wasn't until it got to $1 where I pretty much put the brakes on. And from there, I watched the price accumulate up to $2, all the way up to $3 briefly. And I exited a lot of my position or took profits, not because I didn't believe in the project. I just actually was, we were starting the channel here, and we needed a lot of money for the studio initially. And so I sold a lot of the Cardano there in massive profit because my average buy was probably around like 45 cents, and, selling most of it at a 5X. And so did pretty well there. And I think that Cardano is in a very similar position right now, sitting at 30 cents. I think that you buy it now, even at 60 cents, I think it's a steal. So buy now, buy at 60. Not financial advice, of course, but I do think that you think 2025 Cardano's at $2.50?
Hell yeah.
Then, I mean, you're pretty much a 10X away from the prices now.
Yeah.
Right. And so for every $1,000 you put into Cardano, I think that within a 1-year time horizon, I think that you're looking at $10,000 return on every 1,000 put in. And I think that's where we're at right now on Cardano's chart. And I think that this might be one of the last opportunities to get it under 35 cents. And I know we've said it before. It doesn't invalidate what I was saying before when I said, hey, this is going to be one of the last times to buy Cardano under 35 cents. I've said it before, but I think that you've had several buying opportunities at this price range. And I think this is it. And I think that we're on the way to 250. Rocco, what do you think? Do you think that Cardano is going to get to that $2-3 range next year?
Absolutely.
Oh, wrong producer.
Oh, hey, Rocco.
Hey!
It's Halloween, so it's I'm the ghosty producer. Yeah, I think so. Cardano has a potential definitely to go back to his all-time high for sure. And it's a safe place. For people maybe jump in now, I know they want to get a profit right away with the meme. I don't think so you have to do that. If you play with Cardano, you have a good chance to make very good money. And like you did in your past cycle, I did exactly the same thing. I think my average was like 13 cents, something like that. And and then when it touched the $3, I started to sell all the way down to $1.50, and I took my profit there. It's gonna do it again. It's probably gonna go even higher. So it's definitely a safe bet.
No, I round trip my bag, but I'm still in profit though. My average buy was around 22 cents.
Yeah, the most difficult part that I think is when the market explodes is for people to take profit, and because you always think it's gonna go even over more and more and more. But after a couple cycles, you realize your strategy change. How you buy, how you sell, when everybody buys, you sell. It takes a couple cycles to adjust.
Yeah.
Just my suggestion to everybody: take profit.
Yeah, that's some good advice. In our almanac, there's going to be a whole page on the rules of crypto, featuring Dan from Digital Asset News. Guys, almanacs in full steam ahead. Rob, what did I say?
Dan.
Well, he calls himself Dan, Digital Asset News. But Rob from Digital Asset News, yes. So we're excited, man. This thing is going to be badass. No one's ever done something like this. And so when we open up pre-orders, going to make a special announcement.
Yeah, and I'll also have a digital copy on the Cardano blockchain as well.
Yeah. We're launching it on Cardano. So that's all we got for today, man. Guys, Casper video drop.
Wow, I feel like we're only 20 minutes into the show.
Yeah. No, we're 45 minutes in. Would you like to continue?
No.
Perfect.
I would, but we gotta save it for tomorrow.
Save it for tomorrow. Before tomorrow, though, we have a Casper video coming out. Comes out in about an hour and 15 minutes. A KRC20 token getting a listing on a U.S. regulated exchange, and why this exchange has kind of like presented itself as the Casper exchange. So super exciting there. How to make money with Casper, and some big news from the Key Initiative. You don't want to miss that if you're a Casper fan. And then, that's all we got. Rocco? Proud of you, man. Good job. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We appreciate all of you. If you enjoy the content, make sure you subscribe, like the video, and we will see you mañana. We love you guys. Peace.
Thank you for the producer, the ghosting one.
Good job, Ghost Producer.
So every day stay tapped in. For big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I split the game, but they gave it. Name the coin, it's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy a dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming, hola, till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon and to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado close ya.